Economy sustains recovery with 0.51% GDP growth in first quarter 2021. Nigeria's national carrier to begin operation in 2022, says Sirika. Goldman sees oil hitting $80 per barrel despite likely return of Iran supply. On Business Express today, the recovery strides of the Nigerian economy comes in focus, and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Adeniyi Adebayo on Monday disclosed that Nigeria's Industrial Revolution plan is being reviewed to reflect economic realities and aspirations of the federal government. The minister, while inaugurating a chemical manufacturing plant in Lagos, listed the economic realities to include the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, imminence of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and climate changes. He said the revision of the NIRP will provide a clear and definite path towards a new industrial aspiration, taking into cognizance the nation's recent trade agreements and how to take advantage of them, ensure a safer environment by adapting the policy to capture the global target of net zero emissions by 2050 and create job opportunities for Nigerians through increased production to leverage the wider market access provided by AFCFTA. Adebayo added that the industries in the oil and gas and transportation sectors will help in taking the country steps ahead in the efforts to diversify the economy and increase the contribution of the manufacturing sector to the GDP. Now, in spite of the several challenges caused by low oil prices and the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria's economy gains more footing as gross domestic product rose by 0.51% in the first quarter of 2021, an increase from the 0.11% recorded in the last quarter of 2020, Moplanda Kok reports.
Statistics NBS shows that Nigeria's growth rate in the first quarter of 2021, with an increase of 0.51%, was slower than the positive 1.87% recorded in the first quarter of 2020, but higher than 0.11% recorded in the fourth quarter of 2020. A breakdown of the report shows that real GDP base on quarter grew at minus 13.93% in the first quarter of 2021 compared to fourth quarter 2020, reflecting a generally slower pace of economic activities at the start of the year. Further breakdown shows that the oil sector recorded a real GDP growth rate of minus 2.21%, while the non-oil sector grew by 0.79% in real terms in the first quarter of 2021, which was minus 0.75% lower compared to the rate recorded in the same quarter of 2020. The report shows that Nigeria's agricultural sector grew by 2.28% in real terms in the first quarter of 2021 compared to a growth of 3.42% in the fourth quarter of 2020 and 2.20% in the first quarter of 2020. Top 7 contributors to the GDP are agriculture, trade, ICT, manufacturing, oil and gas, real estate, and construction in that order. Muplang Dakok for Business Express.
Now, Nigeria's agricultural sector since 2016 has maintained steady growth in its contribution to real gross domestic product (GDP). Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that agriculture remained positive throughout the country's recent recessions. Our agricultural correspondent Musa Baba reports that the agri sector contributed 22.3 0.35% to GDP in the latest figures released by the NBS.
No doubt that dwindling oil prices since 2015, coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic, have impacted negatively on the country's economy. The economy plunged into recession for 2 consecutive times, though for a very short period, and moved out to a positive point. However, agriculture remained positive during and after the period of recession. It also stands out as the largest single economic sector by way of contributions to real GDP growth.
Mr. President, through the Economic Sustainability Plan, as alluded to by the Governor of the Central Bank, is putting over 600 billion naira in agriculture, so that we can create a demanding economy where anybody who is capable and able will be supported.
The sector contributed 21.43% in 2016, 25.08% in 2017, and 25.13% in 2018. In 2019, the agricultural sector contributed almost 25.16% and 26.21% in 2020.
We have financed 2,923,937 smallholder farmers, cultivating 3,647,643 hectares of land across 21 commodities through over 23 participating financial institutions in the entire 30 states of the Federation, including the FCT.
The country exported 320.72 billion naira worth of agricultural goods in 2020, which was 2.56% of total exports that year. A total of 1.71 billion naira worth of agricultural produce and products were also imported during the year.
We are deeply interested in seeing the emergence of a vibrant private sector-driven dairy sector in Nigeria, where we can save as much as the $1.8 billion we spend importing milk and then be able to turn that into other useful things that we can do in our economy.
Records from the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that the agricultural sector grew by 2.28% in the first quarter of this year. This makes it the largest contributor, with 22.35% overtaking trade, information and communication. A breakdown shows that crop production grew by 2.31%, livestock 1.65%, fishery 3.24%, and forestry under agriculture moved from 1.24% in the last quarter to 1.28%. Musa Baba Aliyu.
And now to the business of the day. Barrister Dele Kelvin Oye is the second Deputy National President of Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA. He joins me to look at the economy in the light of recent published data. You're welcome to Business Expresso.
Thank you very much.
Okay, first of all, let's start. Did you expect the latest figures? What do you make of it?
Well, whatever the figures are, we live in very difficult times. Okay. And it's a global issue. While it is expected that as we recover from the COVID pandemic, there's likely to be a light at the end of the tunnel, because there's definitely going to be a heavy global growth. For now, the effect of the pandemic naturally affects the current records. So I'm not surprised, but I know if we keep our focus, because from the projections that immediately after we reach a certain level of the COVID vaccines, people are going to relax and try to do more. And I think we'll get better.
You said if we keep our focus, where exactly?
The focus, first of all, is to remove the perception that COVID-19 is the host. I think for us at the Chamber of Commerce, I'm already fully vaccinated. I've taken my 2 shots, and we encourage our members that you should not grow in ignorance. As leaders of business, you have a duty to make sure your staffs, people working in your factories, and the various parts of the society should embrace the policy of government to not to take it as a host or listen to any religious leader who think it's not relevant.
Okay, considering the top performing sectors, agriculture, trade, information and communication, as well as manufacturing, what is NACIMA doing as a leader of organized private sector to rebuild confidence of the business community?
Well, I want to start first by saying that NACIMA is the umbrella body for all chambers of commerce in Nigeria, whether at the state, regional, city level. We are in all the 36 states and all the major cities. We have about 70 locations all over the country. And we cover every sector of the business. Unlike other several private organizations who are like mono-product organizations, we cover everything from engineering, manufacturing, to all sorts of. So our main job, first of all, is to encourage our members to do business within the law and also to ensure consumer satisfaction. And most importantly, that's one of the reasons why we are organizing NACIMA Assist and Nigeria Assist Excellence Awards. Because we realize that we are going through very difficult times. We've had a whole lot of tragedies until recently too. But nevertheless, in the midst of that, we've had people who are global leaders. If you look at the current American cabinet, we have several Nigerians leading the world there. So if we are already global leaders, we need to celebrate this so that those of us in difficulty or looking down now because of the current circumstance can draw inspiration from their exploits and use it as another springboard to revamp our economy and get ourselves back on our feet. So NACIMA is on the vanguard of that.
Okay,
that's what we're doing.
Okay, do you think that this latest GDP figures will affect the decision of the monetary policy beating going on right now?
Well, like I said, what is happening is just a current, it's just something that is temporary.
But those are factors.
Yeah, but when you plan, for purpose of planning, you look at the medium, the short term, and the long term. You don't say because you have a problem today, you just anticipate gloom all the way. It is our job to make sure that we put in the right policies, work closely with government, and encourage government to also rely on the private sector so that we can get our steam back. And that is what NACIMA is all about. Our main job is to let you know that even if you have a bad day today, it shouldn't be the only thing you're driving at. It's just a page in a book.
Okay, what I'm saying is the latest GDP figures.
Yes.
Do you think it will affect the decision?
No,
the
naturally.
Monetary policy
naturally.
meeting going on by CBN, going on right now?
I expect the CBN to immediately take notice of that and put in the necessary policies that will stimulate growth. Because whether you like it or not, if you are in a particular situation, it's like a car driving a ditch, you don't keep driving accelerating at the same speed you're accelerating to get into that ditch. You find a way to come out of it so that you can propel. So this is what we're saying, that these are all factors you take into consideration. They shouldn't allow that temporary issue to be an impediment of all to be so gloomy or to look down. We must take up our sleeves up and know that this is just a page in a book. And now, NACIMA, we are NACIMA, we are prisoners of hope. Because whether you like it or not, at every stage in human life, it goes like the thing goes up and down. It goes up and down. It does not mean because you are down, you should not look up. Okay. So that's what we're saying, that you must, as a government, the CBN, all the people responsible for all the policies, to make sure that they work closely with the private sector, who are the first people that take the heat of all these issues.
Okay, can you paint a picture of what NACIMA is doing to position Nigeria so that it will benefit from the AFCFTA?
Well, if you recall, NACIMA was one of the first organizations in Nigeria to embrace the AFCFTA. When we started, a lot of people, some major organizations were against it. But whether you like it or not, if you travel around Africa, there are very few countries like Nigeria, apart from us being the leader. Most of these cities or countries in Africa, there are only one city countries, or maybe two city countries. We have several, what we have, they're actually afraid of us. Because if you go up to Senegal, you see all our products in their shops. How many Senegalese products do you see here? So what I'm trying to say is, we are already, by virtue of our size, our ingenuity, and the industriousness of our for fellow Nigerians who are already producing and taking advantage of it. This actually gives us an official angle to do things properly within the book, instead of the informal trade we currently are involved in. It is for government to now make sure all the gridlock in Apapa, the issue of standardization, the issue of quality control, all these things we should get ready and put resources in those sectors so that we can be competitive. Whether you like it or not, Nigeria has a huge advantage over several other African countries on the issue of FCTA. It is for us to harness those opportunities, for these people to wake up and start moving faster than us. So that is what we're saying at NACIMA, that we encourage our members. In fact, we have an EFCTA dialogue series with Deloitte, which we do every month to draw our members' attention to the advantages, opportunity of doing things properly in a larger scale, and most importantly, within the rules. Because whether you like it or not, the old ways of doing things you just carry across the border is no longer, it's going to pass through a structure. It's going to avoid dumping or using third countries against us. All these issues, we are fully educating our members so that they are better equipped, so that they can play. If you are a footballer in a field, if you don't know the rules, you are not never going to score a proper goal. So what we're doing is to equip our members, equip Nigerians to have to know the rules to play under the FCTA.
Okay, at 60, what role have you guys played in defining the economy? And what advice are you giving the government to sustain this latest GDP moment, that is the growth momentum?
Well, I would tell you that at 60, NACIMA has been there for Nigeria in every sector. In fact, if you look at most of the laws that relate to business development in Nigeria, NACIMA is institutional members in most of those organizations, in fact, by virtue of law. What that means, the government already recognizes NACIMA as a business partner. In addition to that, apart from our various policy support which we give to government, we don't go into the papers and criticize like every other person do, because we are part of the process. What we do, we give advice in a very confidential but effective way. And indeed, government listens. But it is when you go to the newspaper, when you give someone advice publicly, it becomes difficult for him to accept in private. So what we try to do, it is when it is getting out of hand, or we feel we're not getting the attention, at times we have to go out to the press. But most times, we give very serious advice to government, and we continue to support government. We have no other country. Nigeria is for all of us, whether we like it or not. If anything big happens against our sectors or the economy here, we have nowhere to go. Ghanaians can come here, others can control. We're good to go. So that's why every Nigerian must take it as a duty, like NACIMA has taken it, to make sure that whatever we do, we increase productivity, we increase security, we minimize rumor mongering, all these several issues that sell us cheap. And even the issue of image, we work very hard to do business within the laws. And it doesn't make sense for you to bring in fake products, or we are all against it. And in fact, under NACIMA rules, we have code of ethics. If you breach any of these things, you are taken up and suspended and even reported to the police if you refuse to cooperate. So all this we are doing within NACIMA. And at 60, we are celebrating some of our biggest giants, from Professor Oyesoyinka, King Sunny Ade, every one of them.
Okay.
So show.
We'll have to put a hold
So
to
this is
that.
why we are happy.
Thank you very much, Barrister Dele Kelvin Oye, the second Deputy National President of Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACIMA.
Thank you.
Now moving on. Accounts Allocation Committee at its meeting through virtual conference shared a total of 616.886 billion naira to the three tiers of government as Federation allocation for the month of April 2021. Cost of collection to NCS, DPR and FIRS, the federal government received 244.011 billion naira. The states received 193.432 billion naira. The local government councils got 143.298 billion naira, while the oil producing states received 36.145 billion naira. has 13% derivation, and cost of collection, transfer and refunds got 79.468 billion naira. Further breakdown showed that value-added tax for April 2021 was 176.7 billion naira as against 181.712 billion naira distributed in the preceding month of March 2021, resulting in decrease of 5.002 billion naira. Petroleum profit tax and excess duties recorded some considerable increases, while collections for companies' income tax and oil and gas royalty decreased significantly. Investors' net worth on Nigerian exchange drops by 604 billion naira in first week. Bosede Abel has more on the market in the week ended.
It was another red week as the NGX all-share index depreciated by 2.93% to close the week at 38,324.07, with market capitalization dropping to 19.9 trillion naira. 1.048 billion shares worth 11.5 billion naira in 17,233 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. All indices finished lower, with the exception of NSE Oil and Gas, NSE Growth, NSE Sovereign Bond indices, which appreciated, while the NSE ASM index closed flat. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 674.7 million shares valued at 5.5 billion naira traded in 9,405 deals. The conglomerate industry followed with 94.5 million shares, while the third place was occupied by the ICT industry. The top three equities for the week were Zenith Bank, FBN Holdings and Fidelity Bank. They jointly accounted for 248.2 million shares worth 3.2 billion naira in 2,988 deals. A total of 5,646 units of exchange-traded product ETPs valued at 623,224 were traded in the week in 14 deals, as well as 80,998 units of federal government bonds valued at 81.9 million naira in 22 deals. 26 equities appreciated in price in the week under review, 41 equities depreciated in price, while 93 equities remained unchanged. Bosede Abel, Business Express.
Now, rising debt in emerging markets could push back COVID recovery and widen gap with developed world. Global market update is
Asia-Pacific markets traded mostly higher Monday, but investors remained cautious over a resurgence in COVID-19 cases in some parts of the region. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 rose 0.17% at 28,364.61. The Shanghai Composite also rose 0.31%, while in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index was down 0.16%. It was a quieter trading day in Europe, with markets closed in Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, and Austria for the Whit Monday public holiday. London's FTSE was up 0.29% at 7,038.21, and CAC 40 of France 0.18%. U.S. stock indices advanced in early trading on Monday after the S&P 500 posted its second negative week in a row. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained about 151 points. S&P 500 rose 0.5%, with Nasdaq Composite up the most at 0.7%. In Africa, markets started the week on a positive note, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Nairobi's All Share, Namibia Overall Index, and Ghana GSE Composite all posting gains, apart from Tunisia's Tunidex, which closed flat. That's global market. I'm Neka Oko. It's over to Musa. updates. Over to Musa.
Well, thank you, Nekauko. That wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now, and the hashtag is BizX. Business Express returns Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Be safe out there. I am Musa Abubakar.